Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. 3 topics for this video. The first one, a bankrupted union or country, let's put it this way, is going to support another bankrupted country in its war with a boogeyman, Russia. How is this possible? Have you been asked, I'm talking about the European Union, the citizens of the European Union, have you been asked if you would like that to happen? Well, I will show you how these guys are doing this kind of, making this kind of decisions. And that is, they create steps and layers that they can control until the decision is made. I'm talking about the European Union. Because the European citizen was not asked, as the American citizen was not asked, if we would like to send billions of dollars somewhere else. No. Well, that's how the politics work, we're told. Well, maybe that's wrong. Maybe that could be tweaked a little bit. So that's the first topic. The second topic, the Russians, their offensive stalled. But yesterday I covered an article coming from the Ukrainians telling us that the Russians are advancing and pushing on 5 fronts. 5. Here the Russians, again, conquer, liberate, take control, whatever euphemism you want to use, of another town by Zaporozhye Oblast in Donetsk, and that is Zelene Pole. I will show you what the Russians did. I will show you maps about that. And the last topic is the US-Ukraine mineral deal. The Russians say that the deal isn't worth the paper it's printed on, an expert. So that means the Americans burned themselves. They don't know what they're doing. That is, the plundering of Ukraine is actually not the plundering. It's only in writing, but actually they're not going to get any benefits. And one reason, 2 reasons actually, for that, the Russians claim, are most resources are, as of now, from Ukraine, in Russia's hands, in Donbass. And the other one, in order for the Americans to really become profitable with the leftover of resources, Ukrainian resources, minerals, they need about 10 years. In 10 years, Russia may take over those areas. Then what? Well, the Americans get to war against Russia because that's our resources, or at least we help the Ukrainians develop them. Well, maybe that's the direction these guys are trying to push us. So let's start with the first article. And that comes from Ukrainska Pravda. It is from Monday 5 of May 2025. European Union will double military aid to Ukraine if Trump fails to pressure Putin to make peace. European Commissioner. Now, in order to do this, you have to have a military industrial complex, right? You have to have arms manufacturing companies. You can clearly see who's behind all these guys. It's the banks, the arms manufacturing companies, and the energy industry. As I said all the time, these guys are the pillar of the profiteers. Now, how can you make this when you, as a country, as a union, if you want, you are not having a good economy? You're not in good, how should I put it, in good standing. So, European Defense Commissioner Andrius Kubilius has stated that the EU can significantly strengthen military support for Ukraine by purchasing weapons directly from Ukrainian manufacturers. Ukrainian manufacturers are provided technology and investments from the Western arms manufacturing, like Rheinmetall and other British companies and American companies. So they are Ukrainian in name. So actually it's a racket. Let's say I'm a arm manufacturing from Great Britain. I go and I talk to the Ukrainians, I build a factory over there, we do it together. All right? So I invest over there. And then you are going to receive money to build, money to build the weapons over there from the European Union, from me. So actually you pay me. The European Union will pay me through you. And I provide you with, no, it's the Ukrainian company. Even if it's a Ukrainian company, where is the European Union getting the money from? Last time I heard, they're almost in a recession. Germany had, I think, 3 trimesters going down, isn't that? Or not trimesters, it's quarters. What's going on here? Where do you get your money from? I tell you, they're going to print money from the bankers. They're going to get the money from the bankers. I don't know if they print them, what they do, they will cause inflation. That's going to be bad for you. Have you been asked? No, because that's how democracy works. Now, that guy over there who says that, the commissioner, the defense commissioner, I think is, defense commissioner, was he elected or he was appointed by you? No, he was not. That's the way it works. In your country, you have elections for European parliamentaries, and you vote for these guys. Those go to Brussels, go to over there to European Union, and then over there, what they do? They vote, and then they make commissions. But you directly not vote for any guys like this guy, the commissioner. But he's telling you what's going to happen. He's going to get your life worse. Why? You can have how should I put it? They have money for military, but they don't have money for industries, real industries, manufacturing companies. Well, that's the way they are functioning. It's okay. They will double. They will somehow are able to do that. I wonder if they have the money to, I don't know, for the infrastructure. Remember, every time you hear these guys in Europe or in the United States of America saying, you know what, we don't have money for this. We don't have money for infrastructure. We barely make it. We can't. But they just, no problem when it's about something like this. The same in America. Have I been asked to give money to Ukraine or to Zelensky? Because I'm not saying I give money to Ukraine. I say I give money to Zelensky, not to Ukraine. I wasn't, but you say, well, that's the problem with, not the problem, this is the beauty of the system. You elect an official who represents you. Well, he represents my interests. Those are not my interests. When I was asked, well, you vote one time and during his tenure, he can, your country for generations. And if you don't like it, you have to work within the system, which is vote him out. For someone else is going to be put in front of you, or you run for elections because you have about $20 billion to do so. All right, this is the garbage. So yeah, the European Union and the Americans will keep fighting in Ukraine against the Russians. They're not over. This is just was a smoke screen with peace talks. We're going to do this. No. They just try to impose. The Russians obviously said no. Okay, we're going to continue because we showed the whole world that you cannot make a deal with the Russians. You have to slap them around. This is the conclusion. Let's go to the second topic. New voice of Ukraine. Russian troops cross Vorona River, gain ground near Zelene Pole. This is coming from New Voice of Ukraine, Ukrainian media outlet. This is on May 5, 2025 at 7:40 a.m. And then we have this article right here at 11:35 a.m. So it's and May 4. Okay, it's May 4 and this is May 5. So this actually is after this. Russia occupies Zelene Pole in Donetsk Oblast. And these guys come and say Russian troops cross Vorona River, gain ground near Zelene Pole. Well, I'm going to show you on the map where that is located. So this is the map of Europe. Here you have part of Europe, Eastern Europe and Central Europe. You have here Ukraine. And I'm going to show you where Zelene Pole is, which is exactly by Zaporozhye. Okay, so this is Zaporozhye Oblast. This is Donetsk. So it's right here. I'm going to show you. All right, this is the river they're talking about. As far as I can tell in Cyrillic alphabet. And here is Zelene Pole. Is this a town? Is this the city? Is this? Maybe this is the one, but I don't think so. This is the one. So they gain over. Is this the river? I don't think so. This looks like more like a, how do you call it? A ditch or something. So this is Zelene Pole. So this is already conquered. And they gain towards where? Let me show you. See here? We have here 3 oblasts. 1, 2, 3. And 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is right here, Dnipropetrovsk. This is Zaporozhye and this is Donetsk. So the Russians are advancing. I'm going to show you. I'm going to zoom out right here. And Pokrovsk is right here at the border with Donetsk with Dnipropetrovsk. So the Russians are advancing. And that gets me to the last topic from Sputnik. US-Ukraine minerals deals isn't worth the paper it's printed on. This is according to the Russians. Well, let's see if that is true. All right, or whatever they claim. U.S. Treasury Secretary and Ukraine First Deputy signed the minerals deal in Washington on April 30th. Presupposes establishing a joint reconstruction investment fund, that are the bankers, with 50-50 distribution of management and contributions between the parties. Remember, if they say that, it doesn't mean that's the way. They just do that for the Ukrainians. Oh yeah, we own it. They just, together they're gonna make deals. We're gonna make decisions. The new minerals deal is unlikely to yield any payoff for Ukraine. Matthew Croston, professor of national security and director of academic transformation at Bowie State University, told Sputnik, Zelensky will clearly hope it means a return to his normal, where America continues to endlessly finance the Ukrainian side. The same thing with this imbecile right here. So, shifting narrative. US President Donald Trump will point to the agreement as evidence that he no longer lets the US be seen as the sole party responsible for allowing Ukraine to continue the conflict at no expense and with no cost. There you have. Mining consultants say it takes 10 to 20, this is according to Sputnik, 10 to 20 years to go from discovery to actual profits. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, pop. So they tell you here what they have and what they don't have. Ukraine has 36 of the 50 critical minerals for the US, but not all of them are available in sufficient quantities. But there's a catch. Almost 3/4 of Ukraine's mineral reserves are in Russian-controlled areas, raising serious doubts about the deal's viability and long-term payoff. What if the Americans conquer the other 2/4? No, what if they are 2/4? Yeah, 3/4. So what if they conquer the other 3/4? And, they get the whole thing. Maybe that's the plan. Political payoff. If framed in terms of what America gains in return for its support of Ukraine, there may be some political benefits, especially among conservative circles. Well, there's going to be a blah, blah, and blah, blah. So let's see what we have. Either the Americans get a little bit, as the Russians say, and it needs 10 to 20 years to develop and be profitable, or maybe the Americans will go full force and get the rest of the 3/4. What do you think? Well, we'll find out. The winds of war, or the clouds of war, are gathering more than before. I think these guys are going to get into Ukraine with a vengeance. And I'm talking about the interests who are owning the West. They will use the West military power, country's military power, to clear their path for future investments, future profits at our expense. And the Russians, obviously. But the Russians always can use nuclear weapons, therefore, anyway. But Putin said he will not use. The West tried to push him to make a mistake and drop nuclear weapons, and he said, I'm not going to do it. Well, I hope you don't have to. When do they have to? When the nuclear doctrine in Russia clearly said that when the state, the formation, the entire, how should I put it, the state is at risk to be disintegrated, that could be detonated, activated. I hope we don't get to that point. But these guys are pushing as far as they can. And the Russians let them. Yes, the word is let them. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.